India's geographic location, I think, as you rightly pointed out, it is between the Middle East and East Asia. And if you look up north, I mean, it's also linked to Central Asia and the inner Asian continent. So historically, I think India was at the crossroads of the movement of people, movement of religions and ideas all across Asia, both on land and sea. And when the British Empire was built in India, I think India became the center of the economic activity in the Indian Ocean and in the Eurasian landmass. But after independence, I think India went into an inward orientation. It shut itself down on economic terms, became more focused on internal growth. So that period we saw disconnection of India from the rest of the world, but in the name of non-alignment, in the name of self-reliance. But today, in the last 20 years, as India has opened up its economy, India is now connected to the world, its economy is deeply connected to the world. So therefore now India is looking outwards again. And as it looks outwards, its centrality of its location that you pointed out will come back into play. Therefore, I think India is in the coming years, as India's own economic weight improves, it's going to have a big role to play, both in promoting peace and prosperity in the Middle East, in Southeast Asia, in the Indian Ocean, and in Central Asia. So I think this is going to be a period of where India will have larger and more expansive responsibilities. Look, in the case of China, I mean, we had bad relationship with China, I mean, for almost 2.5 decades, from the 60s when we had a war in the Himalayas. But in the last 25 years, I mean, there has been an attempt at normalizing relationship. Things have improved. There's been no conflict on the border. But there are new problems that are beginning to emerge in the India-China relationship. One, for example, the boundary dispute has become more active. All across the Himalayas, the tension on the India-Tibet border has become more difficult to manage. Right now, there is no violence, but I think that's become an issue again. Then there is the whole issue of the Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama lives in India, so that creates some tensions between India and China. Then China's support to Pakistan, that creates problems for the Indian side. And on top of it, on the economic side, the good news has been there's been a significant expansion of economic cooperation between India and China. Like everywhere else in the world, that China is today, as the second largest economy, is an important partner for India. But there again, there is a problem. The trade deficit in favor of China has dramatically expanded. So India wants China to address the question of trade deficit, put more investment so that we don't have the problem of the trade deficit. But what we've seen then, I think things have improved overall. India and China today work together in BRICS and various other multilateral forums. But the boundary dispute remains unresolved, and I think, and that is in turn connected to the Tibet problem. So therefore, there is a situation today where, despite the progress, there is still some concern in both the capitals about how do you create trust, how do you resolve the outstanding disputes. I think, say, when the ideas of sustainable development first came, for countries like India, which many of them believe that, look, sustainability was a big countries, a developed countries' agenda, and not the agenda of the poor countries. That whether it's climate change, whether it's environment, it was argued 30 years ago that it was a problem of the advanced countries. But today, I think even with the growth that has taken place in India, I mean, there is clearly a massive problem of sustainability, whether it's natural resources, water, air, all the basic ingredients of life on planet are under threat for different reasons. Therefore, I think in countries like India or China don't have the luxury of the kind that Japan or the advanced countries have had. First you develop and then you clean up. So I think today we have to grow through sustainable means. Given our size, India and China, you can't today, if you do what the Western countries did 100 years ago, 200 years ago, I mean, then the whole planet is going to in serious trouble, and let alone our own people. So there is today demand from the people in India, for example, or in China, saying that, look, there has to be sustainability. We can't have a situation where people are going to suffer because of the way development takes place. I think the idea of connectivity has become the big issue. For example, President Xi Jinping has the One Belt, One Road initiative. Before that, Hillary Clinton talked about a new Silk Road. The Japanese talk about partnership for quality infrastructure. So whichever way you look at it, there is this historic push towards reconnecting these regions with modern advanced infrastructure, which I think is a good thing, and I think which is going to help integrate markets, which is going to help develop badly needed infrastructure in most countries of Asia. Of course, there are politics with it, and I think the problem comes when some of this infrastructure development is seen as a strategic. Because in India, some people suspect that the Chinese port construction in the Indian Ocean is more about geopolitics rather than about economics. So therefore, I think creating the trust with the Chinese becomes important. And meanwhile, also finding alternative ways in which we do this in a manner that is beneficial to everyone. That's where I would think Japanese proposals for the quality infrastructure, I think, provide a basis for thinking about connectivity in positive terms that benefits everybody in the region. Given the complex challenges that the world faces today, and I think we need more institutions like the Sasakawa Foundation, which, as I said, non-partisan, which can take up issues and create genuine awareness around them. The foundation also funds many research projects which brings people together. So we need more of that, and I think what we're seeing in Asia today, after nearly 25 years of harmonious growth, today there's a renewed nationalism. There is a tension between China and India. We talked about there's tension between China, Japan, China, Korea, Vietnam and China, Philippines and China. So you see the resurgence of nationalisms, which is threatening the peaceful rise of this Asia. Therefore, I think we need serious substantive support for work that limits some of this conflict, which promotes greater understanding between peoples of Asia. Because all these years we talk about rise of Asia, and the problem was between the West and the East. But as we've discovered in the last 5 years, within the East itself, there are deep divisions. So therefore, for any progress, any peaceful growth in this part of the world, we need more work of the kind that the Sasakawa Peace Foundation is doing. We hope that there will be more such organizations which can actually promote dialogue, which can limit the dangerous consequence of nationalism, and which can show a way forward in resolving existing conflicts.